Michael Rodriguez had been making the same grocery run every Saturday for 3 years. Drive to the Walmart Supercenter on Highway 287 in Mansfield, Texas, grab his weekly supplies, and head home to his small apartment. It was a routine that helped him manage his anxiety: the same store, the same aisles, the same checkout lane when possible. On November 14, 2014, Michael parked his red Honda Civic in space C-47, just like always. The 34-year-old accounting clerk from Dallas carried his reusable shopping bags and his carefully prepared list: milk, bread, frozen dinners for the week, and cat food for Whiskers. Store security cameras captured Michael entering at 2:23 p.m., grabbing a shopping cart and heading toward the grocery section. He moved with purpose, checking items off his list as he filled his cart. Everything appeared completely normal. At 2:51 p.m., cameras showed him in aisle 7 reaching for a box of cereal. He paused, looking toward the back of the store as if he'd heard something. Then he abandoned his cart and walked toward the employee area, despite signs clearly marking, "It is authorized personnel only." Michael Rodriguez was never seen again. His shopping cart remained in aisle 7, half filled with groceries, including a gallon of milk that would eventually expire unclaimed. His car sat in the parking lot for 3 days before mall security noticed it and ran the plates. When police arrived at Michael's apartment, they found Whiskers, hungry but alive, evidence that Michael had been planning to return home, laundry in the washer, a frozen dinner thawed on the counter for that evening's meal, and his work clothes laid out for Monday morning. Michael Rodriguez had simply vanished in the most surveilled retail environment in America. Detective Lisa Harper had worked missing persons cases for the Arlington Police Department for 12 years. But the Michael Rodriguez case defied explanation. Walmart's extensive security system tracked every customer movement, yet somehow a man had disappeared without a trace. We've reviewed 847 hours of footage from 96 different cameras. Harper explained to Michael's sister Carmen during a meeting 6 weeks after the disappearance. Your brother entered the employee area at 2:52 p.m., but none of the cameras in the back corridors show him ever reaching the storage areas. Carmen Rodriguez clutched Michael's photo, her eyes red from weeks of sleepless nights. That doesn't make sense. Where could he have gone? The employee area has 3 main sections: the break room, the manager's office complex, and the stockroom. We've searched all of them multiple times. We've interviewed every employee who was working that day. No one saw Michael. Investigation had consumed Harper's life. She'd studied the store blueprints, interviewed hundreds of customers who'd been shopping that afternoon, and even brought in cadaver dogs to search for evidence that Michael might have suffered a medical emergency in some hidden corner of the massive store. But Walmart supercenters were designed for efficiency and surveillance. There were no hidden areas, no forgotten spaces where someone could vanish. The loading dock was constantly monitored. The bathrooms had cameras in the hallways, and all emergency exits triggered alarms. What about the employees? Carmen asked. Could someone have helped him leave through a restricted area? Harper had considered that possibility extensively. He polygraphed the 12 employees who had access to the stockroom that day. All of them passed. Their stories are consistent. Their alibis check out. The case generated significant media attention for several months. The Walmart vanishing became a popular topic on true crime podcasts and conspiracy theory websites. Some suggested Michael had been abducted by human traffickers. If cases like this make you question how someone can simply vanish, help us keep these stories alive. Hit the like button and subscribe to Gone Cold every week. We share real-life mysteries cases that remain unsolved and demand attention. Others claimed he'd been murdered by someone who knew the store's security blind spots. But as months turned into years with no new evidence, the case grew cold. Michael was declared legally dead after 7 years. Carmen held a memorial service, though she never stopped believing her brother was out there somewhere, waiting to be found. Detective Harper retired in 2020, but she kept Michael's file on her home desk. A reminder of the case that had never made sense. Jessica Kim had been working the overnight stockroom shift at the Mansfield Walmart for 8 months, and she thought she'd seen every inch of the massive storage area. The job was monotonous, but well-paying and loading trucks, organizing inventory, restocking shelves during the quiet hours when the store was closed to customers. On a humid Texas night in September 2023, Jessica was reorganizing the household goods section when she noticed something odd about shelf unit HG-47. The heavy metal shelving unit seemed to be positioned about 6 inches further from the wall than the others in the row. "Probably installed wrong," she muttered, making a mental note to mention it to her supervisor. But as she worked around the unit, moving boxes of laundry detergent and cleaning supplies, she realized the gap behind the shelf was much larger than she'd initially thought. Jessica squeezed behind the shelving unit with her flashlight and discovered something that made her heart race. A hidden space about 4 feet wide and 8 feet deep, completely concealed from the main stockroom. It looked like it had been created when the shelving units were installed, either by accident or design. But it wasn't empty. Scattered across the floor were personal items that looked like they'd been there for years. A leather wallet, a set of car keys, a cell phone with a cracked screen, and most disturbing of all, a shopping list written in careful handwriting that included milk, bread, frozen dinners, cat food. Jessica's hands shook as she opened the wallet and found a Texas driver's license for Michael Anthony Rodriguez, issued in 2012. The photo showed a man with kind eyes and a nervous smile, someone who looked like he'd be more comfortable behind a desk than hiding in secret spaces. But Michael wasn't there. The hidden area contained his belongings, but no sign of what had happened to him where he'd gone after losing his wallet, keys, and phone in this impossible space. Jessica immediately called mall security, who contacted the Arlington Police Department. Within hours, the cold case of Michael Rodriguez was reopened, and Detective Sarah Chen, Lisa Harper's former partner, was standing in the hidden space, trying to understand how a missing person case that had stumped investigators for 9 years had suddenly produced new evidence. "How long has this shelving unit been in this position?" Chen asked the night manager. "Since the store's renovation in 2019, he replied. "But that area's been used for storage since the store opened in 2006. Chen studied the timeline with growing confusion. Michael had been in this space in 2014. His belongings should have been discovered during the 2019 renovation. Yet here they were, apparently undisturbed, as if they'd been placed there recently. The discovery raised more questions than it answered, but Chen had learned to trust her instincts over the years. Something about this hidden space felt wrong, not just its concealment, but its very existence in a store designed for maximum visibility and efficiency. What she didn't know was that the space behind shelf unit HG-47 was connected to something much larger, that Michael Rodriguez's disappearance was just the first in a pattern that would lead her into the dark underbelly of America's retail infrastructure. Detective Chen's investigation took an unexpected turn when she discovered that the Mansfield Walmart wasn't the only location with unexplained disappearances. A database search revealed 17 similar cases across Texas over the past decade. People who had vanished while shopping at various Walmart locations, all during routine visits, all without a trace. "Look at this pattern," Chen explained to her partner, Detective Mike Torres, spreading printouts across their conference table. Austin, 2016. Jennifer Walsh, 28, disappeared while shopping for baby supplies. Houston, 2018. Robert Kim, 45, vanished. During his weekly grocery run. San Antonio, 2020. Maria Santos, 33, last seen entering the pharmacy section. Torres studied the files with growing unease. Different stores, different years, but all Walmarts. And all during what appeared to be routine shopping trips. I contacted the local departments. None of them connected their cases to others because there was no obvious pattern, no shared demographics, no common purchases, no indication of foul play. But they all have one thing in common: security footage that shows the person entering restricted employee areas, and then nothing. Chen had spent weeks on the phone with investigators across the state, and the picture that emerged was disturbing. Each case had been thoroughly investigated. Each had produced no evidence of kidnapping or voluntary disappearance, and each had eventually gone cold. But when Chen requested architectural plans for the Walmart stores involved, she found something that chilled her to the bone. Every location had been built or renovated by the same construction company, Meridian Commercial Systems, based in Oklahoma City. Meridian has been Walmart's primary contractor for store construction in the Southwest. Since 2009, Torres discovered after calling the company's corporate office, they've built or renovated over 200 locations in Texas. We need to visit some of these other stores. If there are hidden spaces in Mansfield, there might be others. What they found during their informal survey of 5 Walmart locations confirmed Chen's worst fears. Each store had areas that didn't match the architectural plan spaces that had been created during construction or renovation. Concealed behind shelving units or false walls, accessible only to those who knew exactly where to look. Investigation into Meridian Commercial Systems hit immediate roadblocks. The company's corporate headquarters claimed no knowledge of unauthorized modifications to their construction plans. Their project managers for the affected stores had all left the company over the years. Their current contact information was listed as unavailable. But Chen had learned to follow money trails during her years in law enforcement. Meridian's financial records obtained through a court order revealed something interesting. Payments from shell companies that couldn't be traced to any legitimate business entities. They're getting paid to build these hidden spaces, Chen realized during a late-night review of bank records. But by whom? For what purpose? The answer came from an unexpected source, Marcus Webb, a former Meridian construction worker, who had quit the company in 2017 and moved to Colorado. When Chen tracked him down, Webb was initially reluctant to talk. But the photos of missing persons convinced him to break his silence. We called them special modifications, Webb explained. Over the phone. Extra rooms, hidden passages, spaces that weren't on the official blueprints. Management said they were for loss prevention places to monitor potential shoplifters or store employees. We weren't supposed to talk about them. Who authorized these modifications? Chen asked. That's the thing, the orders always came from outside the company, corporate contracts that our regular project managers weren't allowed to see. We'd get specific instructions about where to build these spaces, how to conceal them, how to ensure they were accessible but not obvious. Webb's description of the construction process made Chen's skin crawl. The hidden spaces were carefully designed with ventilation systems, electrical connections, and in some cases, what appeared to be monitoring equipment. They weren't temporary storage areas. They were permanent installations built for long-term use. Did you ever see anyone using these spaces after construction was complete? Chen asked. Once, Webb replied, his voice dropping to a whisper. I went back to the Beaumont store about 6 months after we finished the job. Had to fix a problem with the HVAC system. I saw people in suits going into one of the hidden areas. They had key cards, like they belonged there. But they weren't Walmart employees. Chen's breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Jessica. Kim, the stockroom clerk who had discovered Michael Rodriguez's belongings, found more evidence during her shifts. Working systematically through the storage areas, Jessica had located 3 additional hidden spaces in the Mansfield store, all connected by a network of narrow passages that ran behind the main walls. It's like a secret building inside the regular building, Jessica explained as she led Chen and Torres through the concealed corridors. These passages connect to the loading dock, the employee break areas, even the customer service desk. The passages were equipped with surveillance cameras that weren't connected to Walmart's main security system. The footage was stored on servers. That required special access codes, and the monitoring equipment bore serial numbers that traced back to a government contractor specializing in intelligence operations. Chen realized they weren't dealing with random disappearances or even organized crime. This was a systematic operation that had been embedded in retail infrastructure across multiple states, using one of America's largest corporations as cover for activities that were clearly illegal but appeared to have official sanction. The final piece of the puzzle came from Michael Rodriguez's cell phone, which Jessica had found in the hidden space. Despite being nearly a decade old, forensic specialists were able to recover data from its memory, including GPS coordinates that placed Michael in locations he had never officially visited, government facilities in Nevada, research installations in New Mexico, and most disturbing of all, a black site detention center in West Texas that officially didn't exist. He wasn't killed, Chen realized as she studied the phone's data. He was taken, or all being taken. The investigation revealed that the hidden spaces in Walmart stores were part of a larger program designed to identify and extract individuals who met specific psychological profiles. The selection criteria weren't random. Each victim had demonstrated behaviors or characteristics that made them suitable for some kind of research or experimentation program. Michael Rodriguez's medical records showed he had been treated for severe anxiety and panic disorders. Jennifer Walsh had been seeking treatment for post-traumatic stress. Robert Kim had been a military veteran with classified clearance. Patterns suggested that someone was hunting for people with specific mental health profiles or security backgrounds. Chen's final report, filed 3 days before her own disappearance while investigating a Walmart in Lubbock, concluded that the retail chain was being used as a front for a government black ops program that had been operating for over a decade. Her last known location was aisle 12 of the Lubbock Supercenter, where security cameras showed her following the same path taken by 17 other people who had vanished while shopping for groceries. Detective Mike Torres sealed Chen's investigation files and submitted them to federal authorities. But the case was immediately classified and removed from local jurisdiction. The Mansfield Walmart was quietly remodeled 6 months later, and all traces of the hidden spaces were removed. But Jessica Kim kept working the night shift, and sometimes, in the quiet hours before dawn, she could hear voices coming from behind the walls, voices of people calling for help from spaces that officially didn't exist, in a program that had never been acknowledged. Run by an agency that left no fingerprints except the occasional missing person report that would never be solved. Jessica Kim's decision to follow Detective Chen's research led her to coordinates found on Michael Rodriguez's phone, a facility in West Texas disguised as a private medical research center, using her employee access to track delivery trucks. Jessica discovered that supplies were being shipped from multiple Walmart locations to Nexus Behavioral Sciences. The facility looked innocuous from the outside: white buildings, manicured lawns, no obvious security. But Jessica's surveillance revealed the truth. People were being brought in via unmarked vans, always at night, always from the direction of major highways that connected to Walmart distribution routes. Inside, according to leaked employee schedules, Jessica found online, the facility housed long-term research subjects in what were euphemistically called residential treatment units. The staff included military contractors, intelligence specialists, and psychologists with government clearances. Jessica broke into the facility's employee parking garage and found Chen's car. Jessica contacted the only person she trusted, Detective Torres, who had been quietly investigating Chen's disappearance despite federal warnings to stay away. Together, they approached the Nexus facility with a simple plan: create enough public attention that the operation couldn't be covered up. They live-streamed their approach on social media, broadcasting to Jessica's TikTok followers and Torres's police contacts. The facility's security tried to stop them, but Jessica had already uploaded everything: photos of the hidden Walmart spaces, evidence of the transportation network, and GPS data proving the connection. Inside the facility, they found them: Michael Rodriguez, Detective Chen, Jennifer Walsh, and dozens of others, all alive, all subjected to experimental psychological conditioning designed to study trauma responses and behavioral modification. The subjects were kept compliant through a combination of drugs and psychological manipulation. Told they were receiving treatment for mental health issues. "We thought we were patients," Michael whispered when Jessica found him. "They said we'd volunteered, that our families knew where we were." The live stream went viral before it could be shut down. Within hours, news crews descended on the Nexus facility, forcing a federal response. The official story was that a rogue contractor had been operating without authorization, conducting illegal psychological experiments funded by diverted government money. 17 people were rescued from the facility. The Walmart connection was dismissed as coincidental. The contractor had simply been using retail locations as convenient pickup points. Meridian Commercial Systems was quietly dissolved, its executives given immunity in exchange for cooperation. Michael Rodriguez, but Jessica still monitored missing persons databases, and the pattern continued. Different stores, different companies, but always the same. People vanishing during routine errands. Security footage that led nowhere, investigations that went cold. The last entry in her private files was a news report from Montana. Family man disappears during shopping trip to Target. Security cameras show him entering employee area. Some operations are too useful to truly shut down. You just change names, move locations, and find new ways to hide in plain sight. In America's vast retail landscape, the hunt continues. Michael Rodriguez disappeared in broad daylight. One of the most monitored places in America, Walmart Supercenter. No witnesses, no security alerts, just silence. If this story left you wondering, click like. It helps these stories reach more people and keeps the conversation going. And tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to Michael? Was it a random event? Or was something waiting for him beyond that employee's only door? We read every comment. Your thoughts help keep these cases alive. At Gone Cold, we share new, unsolved mysteries every week.